Let me invite now Mr. Stephen Bitner, who is the Economic Counselor of the U.S. Embassy in Athens, and he leads Embassy's engagements on energy and trade issues.
Thank you very much. I would just want to start off first by saying thank you to the organizers for inviting me to participate with this very distinguished panel. It's been an interesting couple of days here in Delphi. We've heard a lot has been said over the last couple of days about the migration and the economic crisis here in Greece. And those two issues have produced a lot of negative press for Greece throughout the world, in Europe and elsewhere. And it's easy to see why. We have an enormous amount of unemployment in Greece. I saw a figure that said that there were 350,000 Greeks that departed the country in the last 4 years, 80% of those the youth. And when you look at what's going on here, it's easy to see this very dire situation, but has been discussed a little bit in this panel. There's one issue that doesn't really make the front pages of the world press as often as migration and the economic crisis, and that's the energy dynamic that's occurring right now in Greece. And yes, there are enormous challenges, but it also has an opportunity to create an enormous potential for growth. It's as Professor Mathiopoulos said in a session just not too long ago, that the energy projects that are happening here, they have a potential to actually help Greece in some way develop the economy, emerge slightly from the current situation. And I'd posit that the natural gas projects that have been discussed already today, specifically TAP, IGB, and the natural gas terminals, both the expansion of Revithousa as well as the potential terminal up in Alexandroupolis, that they could function as an economic stimulus for Greece. And just as importantly, as has also been discussed, I don't want to rehash what other people have already said in this session, but I do want to lay out the U.S. government perspective on these projects. I'd posit that these projects have a very important role as a key guarantee for energy security, not just for Greece, not just for the Balkans, but for European countries further afield. These projects make it possible to diversify the supply of natural gas entering Greece, the Balkans, and Europe. And TAP specifically is a major component of the Southern Corridor. And it's helping to achieve something that literally has been years, over a decade in the making. It's been talked about for that long, which is bringing large volumes of gas from Azerbaijan into the EU and creating a real energy security for the region. And TAP, it's no longer merely a plan. This government, to their credit, has adopted this project and has given it their full support. And it's critical that support and momentum continue. The various benchmarks that I know the project has this year, and we're very eager to see TAP meet all of those benchmarks and become a reality. Of course, with the capacity, TAP has initial capacity of just 10 BCM per year. The pipeline's not necessarily going to transform the entirety of the European energy landscape, where you have a demand of beyond 500 BCMA. Additional sources of energy, such as LNG and renewables, are also needed, and Greece is also playing a part in that. The current LNG terminal in Revithousa, which is being expanded, the planned potential FSRU, floating storage and regasification unit up in Alexandroupolis. Those are examples of the infrastructure that is going to help bring energy into the EU, creating really for the first time a truly liquid market for this important energy source, which can be employed here for the benefit of Greece, benefit of the Balkans, and the benefit of Europe as a whole. As has been discussed by Mr. Kitsakos and Minister Maniatis and others, IGB is also an important part of this infrastructure mix here. We want to be able to see this gas from the Trans-Adriatic pipeline, from Revithousa, from the Alexandroupoli FSRU, pass not just into Italy, but further north, into the Balkan region. The IGP is one way to achieve that goal. And yes, it has difficulties, as was just mentioned, with the current market tests, but from the United States perspective, it's a project that we see as critically important to the region, and we'll do everything that we can to try to help see this succeed. With these developments, Greece can become a regional player in the energy market, and can help achieve the foundations for energy security in the region. And it's important to emphasize how significant the energy security of Greece, the Balkans, and Europe as a whole is to U.S. national security interests. U.S. Vice President Biden, about a year ago in Istanbul, a little bit over a year ago, he said, energy security is the next chapter in the European project of integration and market expansion that began decades ago with European coal and steel. Also, as we've heard over the last couple of days, there's ongoing issues with other areas of European integration. And it's not like energy has a clear path for integration, but I would say that it's actually moving towards integration in various ways. The European Commission, I won't speak on their behalf, but they're focused on this issue and want to see this integration take place and are trying to do what they can to help that move forward. The process, this is important not just for ensuring that the Balkans, as well as countries further up the delivery chain in Western Europe, have access to an uninterrupted supply of gas and oil. It's also, as we all know, a critical part of ensuring that Europe does not fall prey to the potential economic blackmail, as we've seen repeatedly in Ukraine and other former Soviet republics. It also carves out a new role for Greece as an energy transport hub and creating those opportunities for the economy, those opportunities for skilled and unskilled jobs, maybe bringing some of those Greeks that have left Greece back to the country for new economic opportunities. Now, beyond our national security interests, the U.S. also has economic interests in these projects. Companies inside the U.S. are ready to participate in new market opportunities. And with the new technologies that have been opening up U.S. shale gas that we also had a speaker talk about yesterday, we have this enormous new supply of energy that's coming on the market. And in fact, the first shipments of U.S. shale gas left the United States bound for Brazil on Wednesday. So we are literally in the middle of this new market dynamic that has not existed before. And it creates real opportunities. Obviously, now for the first time, you're going to have market competition in energy sources. LNG has a long way to go. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not like having the U.S. shale gas come online is going to change the dynamic immediately, but it is the continuation of a process that in the years to come will have a dramatic impact on how gas is priced. And that's extremely important for the market here in Europe, where you've had this threat of shutoff that's played a really disruptive role in the past and has been used for political purposes. We want to see the new entrants, with the new entrants in the market, all of the suppliers compete in the competitive market. I'm a firm believer in the power of market competition, and having this secure supply of affordable gas should lead to new demand and new economic activity. And this way, these energy projects will help create regional integration, economic growth, and hopefully some prosperity. After having experienced the energy crises in 2006, 2009, and again in 2014, Europe has made progress toward energy security. The recent growth of clean energy technologies, the ongoing development of natural gas infrastructure, and new sources of energy coming online are all part of that strategy. Work remains to be done to ensure this new infrastructure is available to bring in new sources of energy, as has been discussed. But we now have the real possibility of seeing energy coming in from Azerbaijan, the United States, and as also has been discussed, at some point in the future from Israel, from Cyprus, and Egypt. Achieving energy security requires new sources of energy rather than simply allowing previous energy supplies to circumvent certain countries such as Ukraine. By doing so, Europe, together with the United States, will help achieve its own energy and economic security and help further our shared objectives. Most importantly, for the U.S., it helps us further our goal of seeing Greece emerge from the current set of crises stronger and stable, and also playing a stabilizing role in this extremely important region. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bitner.